Imagine someone who's always there, the friend who picks up every 2 a.m. call, the colleague who says yes to every last-minute request, the family member who drops everything to help, no matter the cost. They're dependable, selfless, always showing up. And yet, they often feel invisible, taken for granted, as if their presence, so freely given, somehow matters less. It's a painful paradox. The more available you are, the less people seem to notice or value you. And it's not just frustrating, it's confusing. Shouldn't being reliable and kind lead to appreciation, not invisibility? Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, offers a deeper explanation. He suggested that what we call attention or recognition is really about psychic energy, the mental and emotional energy we direct toward people and things. When you're constantly available, Jung might say, others no longer need to invest energy in you. There's no mystery, no effort required to reach you. You become like background noise, always there, and therefore unnoticed. This isn't just about social dynamics. Overavailability can erode your sense of self. When you're always focused on meeting others' needs, your own identity begins to blur. You lose sight of where others end and you begin. In this video, we'll explore why being too available can actually make you invisible, how this dynamic affects your psychological health, and, most importantly, what you can do to reclaim your presence and protect your sense of self. If you've ever felt unseen despite giving your all, this might explain why and offer a way out. The experience of being always available. There's a person we all know, or perhaps a version of ourselves, who is always the first to text, the first to reach out, the one who answers the late-night calls no one else wants to take. They are the listener, the fixer, the reliable friend who cancels their own plans just to be there for someone else. Their phone is a lifeline, their presence a constant beacon in the lives of those around them. To the outside world, this feels like love and loyalty in its purest form. It's the kind of devotion that says, I see you, I hear you, and you matter. But beneath this well-meaning commitment lies a quieter truth. Sometimes this availability goes unnoticed, unreciprocated, or even taken for granted. The person who gives so freely often ends up overlooked, their efforts fading into the background like a familiar hum no one truly hears. It's a strange and painful paradox. You pour your time and energy into others, hoping to nurture connection and closeness. Yet, instead of gratitude or affection, you may find yourself met with silence, forgotten plans, or a casual dismissal. The confusion creeps in. How can someone so present be so invisible? The loneliness settles quietly beneath the surface, like a shadow no amount of light can fully erase. Exhaustion follows, not just physical but emotional, a draining weight of always being on for others without the same in return. This emotional cocktail breeds a sense of invisibility. You start questioning your worth, your place in relationships, wondering if your kindness was ever really seen or appreciated. The endless listening, the answering at odd hours, the rearranging of your life to accommodate others. Why does it feel like you're the only one trying so hard? What keeps this cycle going, despite the pain it brings? It's a mystery that many never solve. Good intentions seem like a strong foundation, but they don't guarantee balance or respect. The next sections will explore why this happens, why the person who is always available can still end up feeling invisible, and how to break free from this exhausting loop. Understanding psychic energy. The heart of the issue. Carl Jung's concept of psychic energy serves as a foundational idea in understanding how our inner world operates. He described psychic energy as the vital force that fuels our attention, emotions, and presence. Think of it as the invisible power source that energizes the mind and spirit, allowing us to engage with life meaningfully. Without this energy, our mental and emotional functions falter, leaving us feeling disconnected and depleted. To visualize psychic energy, imagine it like a battery or a flame. Just as a battery stores electrical power or a flame burns with limited fuel, our psychic energy is finite. It requires care and protection to maintain its strength. When well nurtured, it sustains our ability to focus, to feel deeply, and to be fully present in our interactions. But when neglected, the flame flickers and dims, and the battery runs low, weakening our overall vitality. One common way psychic energy drains is through a constant outward flow, always giving, pleasing, and responding to others without replenishing oneself. This unending demand on our inner resources can be exhausting. When we put others' needs before our own consistently, our psychic energy slowly leaks away. Over time, this leads to emotional exhaustion, where the sense of self feels diminished and scattered. When psychic energy collapses, the consequences are profound. There can be a loss of self, a feeling of invisibility, as if our own needs and presence are overlooked or erased. Emotional burnout becomes a reality, marked by fatigue, numbness, and an inability to engage authentically with ourselves or others. This collapse isn't just physical tiredness, it's a deep psychological and spiritual depletion that leaves a person hollow. Ultimately, when you are always available to others, you risk having no energy left for yourself. The vital flame that fuels your identity and emotional health burns down to a flicker. Recognizing this dynamic is crucial to preserving your psychic energy, to setting boundaries, and creating space for your own renewal. Protecting this energy is not selfish. It's essential to your well-being and capacity to show up fully in life. The paradox of availability and attraction. Humans are inherently social creatures, deeply craving connection and intimacy. Yet, paradoxically, we are also wired to be drawn toward mystery, scarcity, and the unknown. This paradox creates a complex dance in relationships and social interactions. While we seek closeness, too much availability can actually diminish our attractiveness. One key psychological concept that explains this is scarcity bias, the tendency to place greater value on things that are rare or hard to obtain. When something or someone is scarce, it signals uniqueness and exclusivity, triggering a higher perceived worth. This bias is deeply rooted in human evolution. Resources and mates that were scarce demanded more attention and effort, increasing their desirability. From a neuroscience perspective, scarcity and mystery engage our brain's reward systems in powerful ways. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter often linked to pleasure and motivation, plays a central role here. Dopamine release spikes not just with reward itself, but with the anticipation and uncertainty surrounding it. This means that the uncertainty of whether or not a connection will happen drives a stronger dopamine response than the certainty of constant availability. When someone is always accessible, the brain habituates, and the initial thrill or excitement fades. The cycle of craving and reward flattens, reducing desire. In social dynamics, this explains why being too easy to reach or overly available can actually backfire. If someone responds instantly and is always present, they lose an element of intrigue. They become predictable, less mysterious, and ultimately less noticed. Conversely, a bit of distance or unavailability creates a space where desire and curiosity grow, fueling attraction. Thus, the paradox. While connection is essential, maintaining a balance where availability is moderated can preserve the allure and deepen interest. Mystery and scarcity aren't just tricks. They are wired into our brains to keep relationships dynamic and engaging. The shadow of overgiving and people-pleasing. At first glance, kindness and generosity seem unequivocally positive traits. Yet, when kindness is motivated not by genuine love or compassion, but by fear, it can cast a long, dark shadow. This shadow often takes the form of overgiving and relentless people-pleasing, behaviors that obscure deeper struggles within the self. Overavailability, when driven by an urgent need for approval or avoidance of rejection, frequently masks a painful self-erasure and a fragile sense of boundaries. Swiss psychologist Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow to describe the parts of ourselves that we suppress or deny, feelings, desires, and traits deemed unacceptable or threatening to our conscious identity. For the chronic people-pleaser, the shadow often contains anger, unmet needs, and boundaries that have been pushed aside or ignored. These suppressed elements don't disappear. Instead, they simmer beneath the surface, invisible to others and even to the self. When individuals bury their authentic emotions and deny their own limits to maintain harmony, they risk becoming emotionally invisible. This invisibility isn't merely about others not seeing them. It's a profound internal collapse, where their true self becomes fragmented and faint. The consistent silencing of inner voices leads to exhaustion, resentment, and a deep sense of disconnection from one's own soul. People-pleasing then becomes more than a habit. It becomes a silent war waged within. On the outside, it appears as generosity and warmth, but internally it is often a desperate attempt to stave off rejection and loneliness. This war erodes the spirit over time, draining energy and authenticity. The paradox is striking. In trying to be everything for everyone, people-pleasers lose touch with who they truly are, their power diminished by their own fear. Recognizing the shadow of overgiving is the first step toward healing. It invites us to acknowledge and reclaim those suppressed parts, anger, needs, and boundaries, not as flaws, but as essential pieces of a whole, authentic self. Only by facing this shadow can we begin to transform people-pleasing from a battle of the soul into an act of balanced kindness rooted in genuine love. Reclaiming psychic energy and self. In the journey to reclaim your psychic energy, the antidote lies in the process of individuation, the conscious act of becoming whole and centered in your true self. Individuation is about reclaiming your energy from external demands and distractions, aligning with your inner core, and stepping into your authentic power. A fundamental step in this reclamation is setting boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your energy from being drained by others' expectations or emotional demands. Learning to say no isn't selfish. It's essential. When you prioritize what truly matters to you, you safeguard your well-being and mental clarity. This, in turn, creates space for genuine growth and creativity. Alongside boundaries, prioritizing self-care is non-negotiable. Self-care isn't just bubble baths or occasional treats. It's a committed practice of tuning into your needs, resting when necessary, nourishing your body and mind, and honoring your limits. When you treat yourself as worthy of care, your psychic reserves rebuild naturally. One powerful tool in protecting your energy is the practice of strategic absence. By intentionally stepping back from social demands or overstimulation, you recharge your inner resources. Strategic absence also fosters a sense of mystery. It prevents others from taking your presence for granted and invites curiosity. In this way, absence becomes a form of power, allowing you to re-enter situations with renewed energy and magnetic allure. As you learn to protect your energy, you'll notice a significant shift. Your presence deepens, your power grows, and your natural magnetism intensifies. This is because when you are aligned with yourself, rather than performing for others, you radiate authenticity. Authenticity is far more compelling than any act or mask you might wear. It invites connection on a deeper level, cultivating respect and genuine admiration. Ultimately, reclaiming your psychic energy is about choosing authenticity over performance. It's about showing up fully as yourself, unapologetically, and with clear boundaries. This reclaiming not only enriches your life, but also transforms how others perceive and respond to you, creating a powerful, magnetic presence grounded in truth and self-respect. The power of saying no and embracing boundaries. Saying no often feels difficult because it can trigger fear of disappointing others or missing out. We worry that rejecting requests might lead to rejection, conflict, or guilt. Yet, saying no is a vital act of self-respect. It asserts that your time, energy, and values matter just as much as anyone else's. When you say no, you reclaim control over your life and make space for what truly aligns with your priorities. Boundaries act as invisible shields that preserve your psychic energy, the mental and emotional reserves that keep you vibrant and focused. Without boundaries, you risk becoming overwhelmed, drained, or even invisible, as people come to expect your constant availability. Overextending yourself can lead to resentment and burnout, eroding your sense of self. Setting clear limits signals that you value your well-being and are not merely a resource for others' needs. Interestingly, when you stop being constantly available, others begin to respect you more. Absence creates presence. People notice and appreciate your contributions because they understand you're choosing when and how to engage, rather than simply acquiescing to every demand. This balance of presence and absence elevates your perceived worth and fosters healthier relationships built on mutual respect. Consider admired figures like Oprah Winfrey or Barack Obama, who skillfully balance availability with personal boundaries. Oprah's selective engagement allows her to maintain authenticity and energy, while Obama's disciplined limits on time create space for reflection and leadership. Their ability to say no doesn't diminish their influence, it enhances it by preserving their power and presence. In embracing the power of no, you honor yourself and teach others how to honor you. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to deeper respect, clarity, and self-care. Saying no is not a rejection of others, but a profound acceptance of yourself. In summary, the constant overavailability we often feel pressured to maintain can quietly drain our psychic energy, leaving us feeling depleted and, paradoxically, invisible. When we give too much of ourselves without boundaries, we risk losing the essence of our unique presence, blending into the background rather than standing out. This invisible exhaustion is a subtle but profound cost of overextending ourselves to please or be noticed. Carl Jung's insight offers a powerful counterpoint. True magnetism doesn't come from endless giving or seeking external validation. Instead, It arises from a grounded connection with one's inner self. The most compelling presence is deeply rooted in authenticity, self-awareness, and healthy boundaries. When we honor our own energy and embrace our whole being, strengths and imperfections alike, we naturally radiate a confidence that draws others in effortlessly. Therefore, protecting your energy is essential. Saying no when necessary is not selfish. It's an act of self-care that preserves your vitality. By setting clear limits, you create space to recharge and cultivate a more vibrant, authentic presence. This balance nurtures a life where you engage fully, not from depletion, but from a place of genuine self-respect. Remember, the moment you stop chasing attention and start valuing your true self, your natural presence begins to shine. And when that happens, people won't just notice you. They'll be drawn to the authentic energy only you can offer.